This week we're watching Contact, which is one of my favorite movies and one of the great science fiction movies of all time. It's based on a novel by Carl Sagan. And it also touches on an important subject that we're discussing this week, which is the search for extraterrestrial life and whether life can exist elsewhere, and the very important question of whether we could ever get in contact with it. So, Contact, of course, follows the life of an astronomer um, who is played by Jodie Foster, and how she grows up to be an astronomer, and then her struggles to look for life from other worlds, and when in fact we get contact with aliens and what happens. And that's always a very interesting subject, which we've seen in many, many movies. But this one's tries to be done from a very realistic and scientific viewpoint.
Well, the whole concept of first contact is very important. So we're sort of playing it out in fiction before we ever, as a species, have to do it in reality. This movie is wonderful, I think, in terms of the gender politics and how it looks at the difficulties faced by female scientists. It also raises questions about evolution and questions about representation. I imagine that you will think about Powers of 10 when you watch the opening sequence of Contact. I suggest you watch it a few times. Not only is it mind blowing, it also tells us something about the relative size of humans in the universe. And in addition to these big concepts, the film also asks us to think about human relationships. How do humans connect? How do they make and create bonds between each other, not just family, but also relationships where people choose to be together? And of course, politics plays a part too. So we've inadvertently included some texts that deal with politics and how politics and science don't mix. But this is one of our very favorite movies, and I think that you will also enjoy it, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say about this great film.
Particularly take a look at the scenes where they're set at the radio observatories. It's set at two real radio observatories, Arecibo in Puerto Rico, and the VLA, the Very Large Array, in New Mexico. And
Haven't you been there, Jeff?
I've been to the VLA, but I've never been to Arecibo. The other thing is that there's a lot of speculative science in this movie, which is about wormholes and whether it's possible to travel through wormholes and come out in another place or time. This came up quite recently in the movie Interstellar, which revisited this topic.
We both don't like Interstellar. That is, I don't like Interstellar, but Jeff does. But maybe you can watch that on your own and do a comparison paper. But Contact is a film we both agree is really wonderful from both a science and a science fiction point of view.
We both love this movie.